first just start off by talking about the senior class that now you guys were going to honor on Saturday, and obviously, a couple of them have had some unique journeys as they kind of overcome injuries and those kinds of things during their time here.
Yeah, appreciate that question. Well, Claire Hendrickson, certainly I feel bad for her because she's been someone that's never been able to get it going here. She's had some serious knee injuries, has tried everything she possibly can, including this summer, tried to just do a stem cell, kind of what they did, I guess, with Tiger Woods back in the day, do that stem cell injection to see if maybe there's a way to regenerate enough opportunity for her to be able to play this year. And those are 50-50 if they take or not. So bless her heart. I think her journey's been really hampered by injury. That's never allowed her to get out there. And then, Lowe's been a big part of just the culture piece here. She was a walk-on for us that transferred in from a Division II school, and just an amazing kid, works really, really hard, very durable kid, comes every day to practice with great energy and focus, and is just grateful and appreciative, I think, of what it means to be a Spartan and the opportunities these kids have. And then Drake is the one that's probably obviously played the most minutes, but is still, like you mentioned, been hampered by serious injuries. I mean, this kid's had compartmental syndrome that ended, major surgery. She's had ACLs. She had an Achilles tear. And quite honestly, I thought after she tore her Achilles last January that might kind of be it for her. I wouldn't blame it, for her for kind of being done, but it says a lot about her and the warrior that she is, that she wants to come back. And this is the year that she's actually participated the most in practices and in games, when you really look at her ability to kind of do both things, practice and games. So for her to be at the end here in our last regular season game and going through all this COVID stuff, and for her to still be standing and have an opportunity to actually play will be rewarding. She's still kind of hampered, as you know, hasn't played the last couple games for us, but she's hanging on, and bless her heart, she's really someone we want to, continue to celebrate here at Michigan State.
And a quick follow up, just know what you guys playing on Saturday. Are you surprised you didn't get a game in this week? And will you expect to have Julia available on Saturday?
Yeah, I think Julia's day to day. I don't know. There's still a few more tests that have to be taken for her. I think I'm not sure if we'll get her. Just kind of have to hear from our medical team. And I'm not sure, like with what was happening with the rescheduling or not. The Big Ten kind of goes through all that. I was hoping we would get Michigan again, to be honest. I was hoping maybe we could get that second game in, being so close, kind of like the men are playing back to back, to see if we could get a game in after our game. And I was hoping that just because also their game got canceled against Minnesota the day after ours got canceled, so I thought maybe we could squeeze one in there. But I don't know, that's kind of above my pay grade. We just kind of sit and wait and see what happens, and just wait to hear. And so obviously it didn't quite work out that way.
Thanks.
Sure.
We'll go now to Audrey.
Hey, Suzy, with Marjrika a little bit more, obviously you would have hoped for her to be able to play a lot more than she has during her time at Michigan State, but her overall presence as a person and the attitude and the light that she has been able to bring to your program despite, those injury issues, how could you just describe her in that sense when you think of Marjrika?
Yeah, I mean, she is just an absolute, I don't know, just brings so much heart and passion and love to people around her. She recently just got accepted into grad school, and that was such a huge moment for her. That certainly wasn't on her radar, I don't think, to even continue a post-grad opportunity. And what's next for her is, a chance to continue to move on and still be part of Michigan State, but in a different way, in a different role. But she just is as a light. She's a great leader. Everybody comes to her on the team. She's kind of, I want to say the mother, but now I feel like she's more like a grandmother. To get to this stage, the way her body is, she's more like a grandma. But her heart and soul is just incredible. I mean, she is going to make a major, major impact in this world as a young woman, certainly a Spartan, and certainly a minority female too. I mean, she's just an incredible human being.
Do you think that has helped your team though, over the last couple of years when she's been here?
I would say especially this year, Audrey, because we have a lot of new faces, and even though we only have one freshman, we still have some new pieces. And we have also kids that were, like an Eliza and a Julia, for example, who were starters and were here last year but didn't have big roles. So we're a pretty young team when you think about minutes played in a Spartan uniform and having to carry that torch and that kind of pressure and what that looks like. And so I think she's just been a real stable force for everybody in the locker room, and her smile will light up the room, and she knows how to bring people together. I mean, this is by far one of the most fun, the craziest year, but the most fun I've ever had coaching any team here at Michigan State. I mean, these kids are just fun to be around. They smile, they're grateful, they want to get better every day. I don't have like kids that you just wonder what they're going to be like that day. And this is a business you can wonder like that. You sometimes kids get their little moods and stuff, and they've been such a great group to be around. But I credit Drika a lot for that, because I think she kept them on the right path for sure.
Okay. And then just a quick game question,
Mhm.
in terms of not being able to play Nebraska. And where do you think do you think that not playing that game, this week and the time off, I don't want to say it has hurt you guys, but I mean, what were you hoping to take away from that Nebraska game that you could use for the final game of the year to get you ready for Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, well, I mean, just staying on the grind. I think that's something we've had, a couple of abrupt opportunities where we haven't played. I know I was listening to the Michigan-Maryland game or had it on earlier, and they had mentioned how Michigan had played at Iowa and then hadn't played again since Maryland. So, I mean, we've all kind of had these weird pauses, not knowing if we were going to play a game or not. So I think the one thing we've learned is through early times is not to overthink it. Like, whatever's going to happen that day, whether it's practice or it ends up being an off day, or for us it ends up being a game, like, we're just going to be appreciative of the opportunity. And that's, it would have been a nice opportunity for our team, I think, to go play on the road and get a good opponent on the road, and certainly avenge a loss that we had earlier in the season here when we didn't play very well. So we were looking forward to that. But at the end of the day, it's a strange year, and we just got to roll with it.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go now to Eli.
Hey, Suzy. So with senior day, you talked about this class and this team and how much you've grown with this team and stuff. I mean, how emotional is this game going to be for you and your team? And then what's the pandemic version of senior day going to kind of look like on Saturday?
Yeah, good question. Well, there's always a lot of emotions, I think, on senior day. I've said to Drake a million times, this is your first week in the Breslin. This is your, last 2-day out prep for a game. Just you start thinking about those things with Claire and Lo and Drake. And so it kind of puts you in a mode of appreciation, I think, for them and what they've been through and how they've had your back and what they've invested in this program. And then the tough part is this year it's not gonna look the same. It's not gonna feel the same. And I think, everybody on this call has kind of been around our program and the men's program and the tradition of the fans and sticking around and being able to celebrate our seniors after the game. It won't look like that, obviously. Our plan is still to celebrate them. They won't let any of the parents on the main level just due to the, COVID restrictions. So this year we're going to try to do some different things after the game and maybe include their parents and family members in a video so that there's a little involvement with their parents or people they'd like to have on the court with them or normally would walk out with them. So we're going to try and do something a little bit different that way just to build that bridge even though they can't walk out with them. But we'll do our best, and I think I just want them to walk off the court knowing how much we appreciate them and what they've done for us, and is just gonna. I think they recognize this whole year's not look the same, So I don't think they're gonna be disappointed in it. It's just kind of a bummer for them that they can't do it in front of 10,000 fans or whatever that night would have looked like.
And then I guess just right now, what's kind of your confidence level on going into the NCAA tournament, being in right now, especially like not getting that game against Nebraska and then moving into the Big Ten tournament to finish up?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to control your controllables. I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job this year of winning games that we should, and we've had some really close losses where the net helps you, I think we've had one bad loss at Maryland. Everything else has been, possession or two, give or take. So I think the net adjusting to the net on the women's side has been helpful, I think, and it's certainly helped the men's side. So I'm actually anxious to kind of see how that helps on the women's side. And, we feel good about our body of work at this point.
Then lastly, last time out against Wisconsin, you guys, I think that was probably one of your better games of the year, especially by margin of victory there. So does that make it harder or easier to kind of prepare for a game like that when you can't maybe critique as much or do as much when you played so well?
Yeah, well, ironically, that was when we had our pause too back. Back then too, we were off for, I think we missed 3 games around that stretch or something, and that was our first game back. So I really didn't know how we were going to play. You can't work. Everybody in this league is really good. Wisconsin just beat Ohio State the other day, and they're playing extremely well. They're a big team. They have some really positive strengths that, are tough to handle. And so we're just going to have to come out here and just roll up our sleeves. And second-time opponents, you can never really rely on exactly what you did last time. It certainly is an opportunity, but I think there's so much growth in a season, like in teams in a month, especially when you have teams too that have had some breaks. For example, for us, does that give us more time to work on ourselves where normally you wouldn't get that time? Versus there's been stretches where we've been playing every 2 days too, where we haven't had a chance to make ourselves better. So I think we've just been able to roll with the punches right now with, hey, this is what we can control, and going into Wisconsin, we can't worry about what we did last time. We got to think about what we can do in the moment that we're in.
Thanks, Suzy.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back over to Brian.
I know the all Big Ten stuff's kind of on the horizon here, and just can you take me through really the job that you feel like that Nia Clouden has done, and really kind of taking that next step and really kind of cementing herself as one of those top 10 players there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question she's to me a first-team all-conference player. I think her stats show that. I think the way she plays shows that. I think her ability to be versatile with the point guard and playing an off-guard position too. She's as consistent as the day is long most days, and I think if you're going to be a really good player, you can have a game or two, but for the most part, her season has been spectacular, start to finish. And guards matter in this league. They matter everywhere, certainly, but it always starts with a dynamic scoring guard, and she's definitely, I always say, there's a Batman and a Robin, and she's definitely been our Batman, and does she get the recognition on the national level? I don't think she gets as much as I think she should, to be honest. Some of the watch lists and things, when you look at some of the kids on there, I think they're deserving, but I also thought, maybe Nia should have been on some of those lists. But again, you can't control those things. All you can do is just put your best foot forward, and she works hard every single day, has been a great leader for us and a consistent player.
And next we'll go over to Graham Couch.
Hey, Suzy, I'm wondering with this group that you like so much that can be together largely beyond this year, how important it is to actually get in the tournament field and have that experience as you move forward. What the value of that you think is?
Oh, that's huge. That's really big, especially in a year like this too, Graham. I think it's just been such a bizarre year of playing a lot of games to playing no games to, getting on a plane and going, then coming back, or thinking you're going to play one team and then you're not. You're playing this team. You find that out 2 days before you're going to play or a day before you're going to play. So it's just been a lot of uncertainty. But at the same time, I think for us in this group it's a very, very young team with the majority of our group coming back that's been pretty consistent in terms of our scoring and playing time. I'm very excited about that and, for them. And I think, for us to play in the NCAA tournament is going to be an important part. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with the women's tournament in Texas now opening up their state. And here we are in all these restrictions and crackdowns with the Big Ten confinements and all the things we got to do. And now the NCAA tournament is now in a state that is literally, you don't have to wear a mask. It's capacity full, whatever you want. So I'm kind of interested for us to actually be able to be part of and witness kind of how they're going to do this on the women's side. It's going to be interesting.
If they talk, I mean, they're going to have to keep you guys pretty much bubble.
I would think.
Guess away from the public, correct?
I would, and there's going to be obviously a bunch of different venues, so it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think they're having obviously conversations because I think that's maybe 2-day-old news now. I mean, I think it's only been a couple days since their governor made this announcement. So I mean, we could, again, you got to control your controllables, and we'll do what they say. I know Julie mentioned something about getting like an 89-page NCAA protocol document. She just, when I was leaving practice today, and I was like, well, good luck reading those 89 pages, you know. I just think it's going to be challenging in a place where, you know, they just open the state. So that's what I'm kind of interested to see. As you know, the Big Ten has some pretty strict protocols if you are positive and how long you're out and getting the myocardiac tests or whatever they're called in 17 days. So, I mean, we're like in crazy lockdown, you know, crazy lockdown with our group right now.
Are you surprised the Big Ten is allowing some fans at the tournaments?
I'm kind of not, because if you look at Indiana, I think they've been doing those things for a long time. I know there's a lot of Michigan kids that play basketball that have gone down there and played like on weekends in summer, or weekend basketball in AAU. So I'm not surprised that they're going to allow some fans. I think the women, they said 2,500 in Bankers Life, and did I see, was it 8,000 or something in Lucas Oil for the men?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised they've started to do a little bit here, as you know, with our fans, but I guess I prefer the fact that we even get anybody, because these kids, especially on the women's side, can't speak for Iz and his guys, but you know, our girls are really close to their parents who've done a lot for them to get to this point, and for them not to even be a couple times during this year, not even be able to come to a game, I think that was kind of mentally draining on them. You know, they're so used to looking up and seeing family in the stands, and not to be able to have anybody for a couple weeks at least this season was hard on them. So I'm happy that we get some. But I'll be interested to see. I think that there's another men's team now in the hotel where we're staying, and I'm not sure exactly who it is, but they said there might be a men's team and a women's team at most every hotel in there. So that's interesting too, because normally the women's and men's tournament are separated by weeks. We don't play in the same week.
Right.
Sometimes not even the same city, with Chicago for the men sometimes. So I don't know. It's going to be a roll of the dice. I'm double masks. I have 2 masks now, so I feel like put everybody in a hazmat suit and let's walk around Indianapolis. We'll see what we all look like. We're going to practice in like a bubble, I guess. So.
That'll be an interesting look.
I know. Well, I don't know. We might get a few pictures snapped at that. We'll see.
Any other questions for Coach Merchant? All right, we'll virtually see you guys Saturday.
Okay, bye guys. Mask up, everybody.